Hi everyone, this is Dennis from New Zealand. In this video, we'll provide a detailed overview of the cost of living in the land of the long white cloud based on 2026 price data. We'll break it all down into categories: groceries, dine out, car and their service, public transport, other services, entertainment, rent, and utilities. Then we'll summarize and compare it with average incomes. New Zealand is not a cheap country to live in. Prices are comparable to developed countries in Europe, Australia, and Canada. Some things will be cheaper, while others might be more expensive. Prices for certain specific products can also vary depending on the season. At the same time, the cost of rent can differ from city to city, while other expenses will be at roughly the same level. We'll base our calculations on a couple of 2 adults, but you can add extra expenses yourself. If you have children in your family, for example, all calculations will be shown per week, as is common in New Zealand, which is quite convenient since a week always has the same number of days. And all prices will be in New Zealand dollars. Groceries. There are several supermarket chains in New Zealand. We'll look at Woolworths. Not cheap, but not the most expensive supermarket, which has a handy website for price analysis. We've put together a very rough weekly basket for a couple, including a wide variety of products from different categories that you can see on your screen. You can pause to take a closer look or follow the link under this video to see the text version of this material, totaling about 350 New Zealand dollars per week. The estimate allows for hygiene essentials, a balanced and diverse diet, and restaurants. Dine out. $15 per dish. Cafe, $30. Restaurant is $40, plus other possible purchases. Total in about $200, assuming 2 people go out a couple of times a week, to sit somewhere with food and drinks. Cars and their maintenance. Cars in New Zealand aren't a status symbol, but a necessary and almost mandatory item for a comfortable life. A 5-year-old Toyota Corolla will cost $23,000, and a 10-year-old one about $13,000. A litre of 91 petrol is just over $2.50. Diesel is $1.80. We also factor in maintenance, registration, and optional insurance, totaling about $100 a week for everything, assuming you drive about 200 kilometers. Public transport. In New Zealand, people use public transport, such as buses and trains. Let's imagine one family member regularly uses the bus to commute on weekdays, totaling another $50 a week for that. Services. Perhaps the most expensive thing in New Zealand is paying for people's labor. That's why service costs can be quite high, though it also depends on the quality. Here's an example on your screen. Let's assume you need to set aside at least some minimal amount for this kind of thing. That's about $50 a week extra. Entertainment. New Zealand is rich in free outdoor activities, but there are also various paid ones. And here, the only limit is your imagination. Let's add another $50 a week, at least for a movie night with popcorn. Utilities. Electricity costs will depend heavily on your housing. It could be anywhere from $100 to $400, though that's per month, not per week. Let's add internet, water, and mobile service to that. Let's calculate an approximate average. That's about another $100 when converted to a weekly rate. Rent. For example, we'll take rental prices in Auckland, whereas in other New Zealand cities, it could be 10, 20, or even 30% cheaper. A room starts from $200 a week. A studio from $300, a 1-bedroom apartment from $400, 2 bedrooms from $500, a house with 3 or more bedrooms from $700 a week. Let's imagine a couple living modestly for now, but quite comfortably, about $600 a week for a small private place. Results. The biggest expenses are rent and groceries, but don't forget the rest. It comes out to about $900 a week for general expenses and $600 for housing. That's 1,500 New Zealand dollars a week, 6,500 a month, or 78,000 a year. I'll emphasize that this is a minimally comfortable standard of living. No extreme saving in each category, but excluding big purchases like furniture, appliances, travel, and so on. Salaries. The average salary in New Zealand is about 86,000 a year before taxes, or roughly 66,000 a year after paying taxes, which is 5,500 a month. As everywhere, income will depend on your field, work experience, skill level, and the employer in general. Thus, a typical average salary for one person might not be enough for a couple to live comfortably in a beautiful and safe country by the sea. To live freely and afford extra expenses, which there will definitely be, you'll need to cut costs, earn more, or have both family members work. Initially upon arrival, many manage to save and spend less than the amounts mentioned. This includes shared housing, living with someone, buying groceries at budget supermarkets, and monitoring other expenses. However, only a salary increase, or both family members working, significantly expands your options. For example, the average. A couple's net income starts from $132,000 per year, which allows them not only to live comfortably, but also to save, travel, and so on. However, we recommend realistically assessing your capabilities, calculating and researching in more detail how much people in your profession can earn, for example. Write in the comments if you disagree with something, or if you find this information useful. Support us with your activity and likes, we really need it. And you can also subscribe to our social networks. All the links are in the description below this video. See you soon in New Zealand. Bye bye!